Here she
Hey,
hey, there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Angela Monique is in the building.
good to be here. I had to improvise and I am going to use my cell phone.
Okay, okay.
How are we looking here? Is it clear?
Yeah, we good, we good, we good.
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me okay? You
I
see me okay?
can. I can.
Okay.
Very excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you for the invite.
yes, ma'am. I'm glad to have you. And uh, Unity Gospel Radio, they're on here. Um,
Okay.
they're
What was the name of the radio?
Unity Gospel Radio.
Okay. Hey, what's up, Unity Gospel Radio?
And they have a few of your songs as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
And
much for supporting.
and
It's awesome.
we also have Ken Marsh. He's a pastor and recording artist as well.
Okay.
Big supporter as well. So
Awesome. Thank you
uh,
for the support. Awesome.
he's in Baltimore, Maryland, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah.
Shout
So
out to me.
if you don't mind, share it to your page. You
Yep.
guys, as you guys come in, and
Okay.
also as you guys come in, like I said before, tell us where you're watching from as well. So we'll give your city a nice little shout out. All right, we'll give it another 10 seconds or so. We'll go ahead and get started.
All right. Sharing it.
What's happening, Janera Pugh out of Orlando, Florida?
All right. Shout out to Florida. Not too far from me right now. I'm in Alabama, so.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Again, guys, we are here with Angela Monique. She's a singer, teacher, minister. She has books. She has her own businesses. So outside of those things, who is Angela Monique?
Wow. Angela Monique.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many things that encompasses me, but to keep it short, I would just say I'm just a woman just on a journey,
Mm-hmm.
trying to live my life to the fullest with God at the center of it all.
Mm-hmm.
I try to use all of my gifts, that some of which you named, whether it's singing, writing, right, teaching, to just spread love and spread the gospel
Yeah.
in my own unique way. That's who I am.
Okay. Straight to the point. I like that. All right. Do you mind sharing about? You said something. It's like you about to say something.
Oh, I just popped up. I was just gonna say, what's up, Mr. Pugh, Gennaro Pugh? Thank you for
Yes.
coming in.
Definitely appreciate you, JP.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, can you share a little about your childhood and your upbringing?
Sure. All right. So I am an Atlanta native.
Mm-hmm.
So people say I switched because I've been in New York for like over 10 years now. So
Yeah.
I have my twang will come out, and then sometimes this New York thing will come out. But I am born and raised in the South, Southwest Atlanta.
Okay.
And I grew up, as far as the household, grew up with my mom, my father. I'm the youngest of three in my family. And the thing about, just to talk more about me with my birth, the interesting thing is, like, I was the youngest, but out of the three, it seems like my mother had more difficulty with me, meaning I was born early. I was born premature.
Yes.
And so in that, I was born with a hole in my heart. It wasn't completely developed. And I'm sharing this because I do believe it kind of set the trajectory of my life.
Yeah,
being born with the hole in my heart. Of course, doctors pretty much gave my parents, that talk that you need to prepare to bury your child. She's not going to survive.
Wow.
And my mother would always tell me the story that when I had tubes when I was born, premature, I had all these tubes in my body. And she said she remember putting her hand, in her own grief, putting her hand in like the incubator. And I grabbed her hand, like grabbed it very tightly. And this always sticks out to me because she said the nurse that was standing there said, "You have a fighter." So I always took that to heart. as the story progressed, I ended up having open heart surgery once. I made it through, and then I was told that the state sew you up, they staple your heart as a 9-month-old infant. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, it's a call coming through. Is it cutting off?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
You can still hear me, Ontario?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, great. So when I made it through that, apparently a state like came out. So it opened right back up, and they did a code blue. So I actually died medically, like a medical. And they went back in at 9 months. So it was 2 open heart surgeries. And my mother shared with me that was going through the same thing with their child, was going through a surgery, and that child didn't make it. So when I pulled through the second time, of course, doctor's like, okay, we already said she wasn't going to make it. This is 2 times. Now for the rest of her life. They shared that, I'm going to have all these medical problems. But when I did pull through, by the grace of God, that family that was also going through their child actually passed away. And what I took out of that is this: that family reached out to my parents, and they, they had a newborn baby that passed away. So they had a teddy bear, and he plays music. They end up giving that to my mother and father. Wow. So as I still have it to this day, Ontario. So when I look at it, it's 2 reminders for me. I can't take my life for granted, for one. And 2, it talks about how that family, even in their grief, even in their pain and in their loss, they still saw fit to comfort, like my family, and offer, And so I said, I have to take that. And I just believe that in those ways, God kind of speaks to us. And I think that's where that deep-rooted desire to help and to share for others comes from. So that's a little bit about my birth and my upbringing, and pretty much kind of why I do what I do. Yeah.
I'm glad, you felt comfortable sharing that story, because when I was growing up, I used to have a lot of seizures, like to the point to where I was on medication. Even the medicine that's, at certain points, it wasn't even helping. So basically, mine would just happen randomly. So, just hearing your story reminded me of those moments back then. I haven't had one since 97. So it just kind of went away. So
wow.
So to hear your story, what you had to deal with, as a child, like I said, it brought back those memories, and look at us now.
Yeah, exactly. And everything that was spoken, and I'm sure you can probably attest to it, no medication, no residuals from that ordeal. So God is truly a healer. Like, he's still healing. He is.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So you're fine. You're back now. Okay. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like you say, that pretty much with those situations, I know for you and I, it made us become fighters, take life seriously, and, people that may not have went through, those kind of things, they may not have the same outlook on life. So, that gives us a little bit more to be grateful for, because it could all ended in, in your case, multiple times, in my case, multiple times. So, got to be grateful for life, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, who or what inspired you to desire to get into the arts? Because I know you do multiple things with media, and of course, you sing. So, who inspired you to get into those things?
Wow. So growing up, from when I was a big lover of music, I'll start there. I think music was really my form of expression. And of course, just hearing music, I was involved in the school band at an early age. Even in elementary school, I think I was first introduced to piano and violin, moved to clarinet, all that kind of stuff. So I was a band kid. My brother, so we were a lover of Tupac. Come on, church people, don't start throwing stuff at me. We love some Tupac growing up. And so with my band, my band experience, I used to like play on the keyboard and try to do like tracks and beats, and my brother used to rap. So it was just this big creative space, right?
Yeah.
As I began to mature more in music, it's kind of like, okay, I want to write because I love music. So that's where the writing pulled from. But during that whole time, like some of my influences, I actually listened to Mahalia Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to, of course, Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to love those big powerhouse singers. And the fact that I know Mariah Carey was a writer,
Mm-hmm.
I was very much like just looking up to all these people. And of course, I was in church in the choir. So I used the gifts in that arena as well. And that sharpened me and learned a lot of gospel songs. So when it was all said and done, just my love of the arts, my love of singing and writing and performing, God just kind of took all of that and said, all right, I want you to use this and share my messages. And so now it's like I take that passion and that love to try to just share my heart and my spirit with people, and whatever God gives me. I don't think too much about how it's going to sound or the trends. I just deposit what's put in me. And that's why I do it. That's my biggest influence, Yeah.
I love that. So we're going to move into your book.
Yes.
So can you tell the listening audience more about your book, Moving Mountains?
Yes. So that book, wow. And I have to go back because I recently read my book again, and I'll go into why. And I was like, it's ministering to me now in this season, right? But the name of the book is Moving Mountains, How I Learned to Love God's Way. And during that time, I was married, and it was just a lot of ups and downs. It comes with a lot of marriages, to be honest. And I remember getting to the point where when it looked to be at its worst, God was really pouring into me, not just for the marriage, but me as an individual, growing me and really teaching me, how to love myself, how to forgive, like the true meaning of forgiveness. It was just so much. And so really the Holy Spirit inspired me to begin writing. And we, my former husband, because I am divorced now, but my former husband, during that process, we ended up coming back together. It was, we reconciled. And I remember sharing, I said, I feel led to write a book. But the book was more focused on my entire journey, like the different times in my life where I truly began to understand love. First, what it means, like what God is love. So who God is, how to love myself, and how to share that love. And so I use my testimony in various areas of my life. So I'm very transparent in that book. And then I wanted to help. I had a desire to help singles. I wanted to help married people. And I didn't even know I would end up, being divorced, but it would even help divorced people, because no matter what happens in your life, when you truly know love, when you truly know God uses everything. And so that's really the essence of the book. Like, what is God trying to say? And I actually have that in the description on the back. Whatever your mountain is, what is God trying to teach you? What is God trying to tell you through that? And how do you take that and keep moving forward? Because God he's not a God that's going to lie. He says that all things work together, right? For the good of those that are called according to his purposes, right? So he just wants us to love him and receive so we can be the light of the world. So that's really what the book is. Yeah.
Is the book still available online for purchase?
It's still available, absolutely.
It's on Amazon, or it's just on your website?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble,
and
a lot of different other online retailers. So you can just Google it and you'll find it. Yep.
She said Google me? Okay. All right, Shaq. That's Shaq's favorite.
And let me clarify too. So the book is written, it says Angela Fedrick-Lewis.
Okay.
So just for clarity. So that would be the book.
Okay. All right, we're gonna jump into Kings of All Kings, the first single.
Yes.
What went into that, and how did you get from there to You Win? Like, what was that journey like?
That's such a great question for me to go back through that journey, right?
Yeah.
All right. Ironically, a lot of my songs I wrote probably when I was I want to say maybe like 15 years ago. Except like
Oh,
You
wow.
Win, You Win is Fish.
Yeah, yeah,
These are songs that God gave me and I was like holding on to it at the
yeah.
right time. So that's a
Yeah.
little background. But I
Okay.
remember when I wrote King of All Kings, I believe that I remember during that time, I love to speak to people. Like I love having conversations with people of all faith, whether
Yes.
you're a believer or not. And so what I remember in a lot of my conversations, it was like this wave, like this new age belief and beliefs in many different things, whether it's crystals, right? All these different things
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on. And I remember I just was like, you know what? We can search and we're all searching, right? We can search and search and search. But this I know, there's only one God and there's only one Christ, the King of all kings. And so God just began to give me the lyrics. And I remember one of the lyrics is, I've never seen you. I've never touched your face, yet I can
Yeah.
feel you. Your presence surrounds this place. So it's just really affirming God is who he says he is.
Yes.
Jesus, our Savior, is who he says, and he will lead us to all truth. So that's what King of all kings is. It's a proclamation of Christ.
Okay.
And so that's the starting point. And through the years, I write from a place of experience. I write from a place where I feel burdened for what's going on in the
Yeah.
world. Because I'm open, even with the journalism background, because
Yeah.
I'll meet a lot of people and talk, I hear their stories and I'm open. It's not judgmental. It's like I see. And then God will say, write this. So give me words because I'll feel something in my heart to release. So the journey has been, I went from that, I think, to Beautiful. And I've written many songs that's not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
released yet.
Yeah.
But Beautiful, around that time where I moved from Atlanta, I went to New York. There's a lot of transitions. And in that song, is proclaiming that, again, all things can work for the good and how God can exchange beauty for ashes.
Yeah.
So whatever you lost, whatever you've gone through, God can take it and make it beautiful. And so, I do a lot of proclamations in that song. And so
Yes.
I finally just keep moving and getting up to You Win. You Win, again, is that proclamation is, all right, the world is going crazy. Sometimes we can go crazy because no matter how far you are in your faith, as long as you're on this earth, you've never arrived. We're never like totally just sanctified and holy. You're gonna go through some things. And a lot of people, including myself, we've had our faith rocked.
Yeah.
And so when I wrote that song, my dad was battling cancer.
Wow.
And I began to just reflect.
Yeah.
And I saw myself as well as others just when life hits things that we can't control.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go in a spiral where we're running. We're speaking faith, but sometimes we're not truly able to apply it in situations where it seems so tough and challenging. And so that song has two meanings. It's about that whole journey where letting go and surrender in the times where you can't control the situation, whether it's death, whether it's challenges, whether it's a divorce, whatever it
Yeah.
is, where you can't fix it. You can only trust God through it and know that you can get through. And so it's like you win in letting him be the one that you put your faith in, right?
Yeah.
The second part is simple, where it's, again, Christ is the only way. So when I finally let go and let you in my heart, that transition, that faith, that understanding, that revelation will come. So when I'm talking to God, I'm like, you win, I'll let you in, right?
Yeah.
But then as the song progresses, it's I win.
I win. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when God wins, we win because he loves his children.
Indeed.
So we win, we get empowered, we can move and be that conqueror that he spoke over our life. And then lastly, we win, all of us, me, the society. When you're walking in your calling, when you surrender, God can do amazing things through his people. So that's what it is. That's where, and that's exactly where I am right now in my life. It's like, no matter what comes, I know you got me. I know I'm more than a conqueror, and we're gonna win, and I'm gonna bring some people with me as well.
Yeah.
Through the grace of God.
For sure. For sure.
Yes.
So I know I mentioned earlier you're a business owner as well, and you have the
Yes.
Mojo Media Online, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, that's my other baby.
can you share share like what services you provide with that?
Yeah. So again, out of that same heart of wanting to support, wanting to encourage, because of my background in media, I said, wow, just scrolling on Instagram, scrolling and reading, it's so much negativity, right? It's so many ways that media can not be used for good. So,
Yeah, definitely.
and I'm not saying it's all bad, because look at the platform we're on right now.
Yeah,
you can also use it to spread the gospel, right?
Indeed.
But I just took all of that a part of my journey. I said, what can I do? How can I use my gifts and my skills in this area? And so what Mojo Media is, I promote anything that's physical, mental, spiritual, and professional wellness. So you'll see a lot of events. I have a website. You'll see a lot of events that I post, a lot of things and resources. A lot of them are free. Resources around different cities where people can, go to, and if they're on a journey and they're looking to better themselves in those capacities. Also, I provide services for business owners too, and young entrepreneurs. Well, not necessarily young, but you can be young, you can be seasoned. But if, in this time, we know the cost of living is going up, everything's going up. I said, let me make economically sound a service where people can get flyers, they can get like whatever they need as far as promoting their business at a very reasonable cost that's not going to break their pockets, it's not going to hurt them. And also support. If you have a vision and you're looking to get connected with people to bring your business up, even with helping with forming LLCs, whatever it is, you can reach out to me. But the main service is a lot of promotional services for people.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm about to dig a little deeper now, okay?
Okay. Are we going even deeper? All right.
Yeah, we're going deeper. You may get mad at me for this one. We're about to talk about the HBCU experience, because I'm all about I'm all about FAMU, right?
Okay.
And I know
you said FAMU.
Yeah, FAMU the best.
Okay.
Number one.
So you're alumna of FAMU.
Almost. Right there.
You're right there. Okay, I didn't know. All right.
So we're going to talk about FAMU Junior, Clark, Atlanta. What was your experience like there?
Clark, Atlanta. Oh my goodness. I will rep Clark Atlanta University to the day I die. That is my home. Shout out to the Panthers right now. Shout out to Professor Mack and just all my great professors that still to this day support me. Okay. I will say that my experience at Clark Atlanta was life-changing.
Okay.
It was definitely a family atmosphere where, we connected, just being in the heart of Atlanta, the AUC, you are surrounded by people, successful people, Black, young people that's hungry and want to get out there and be successful. So you have a built-in community no matter what you want to do. So that's one thing that I love about going to a HBCU, but even more going to the best HBCU, Clark Atlanta University.
We'll talk about that.
There I really honed my craft as far as writing. And I'll tell you this story. Professor Mack, he was the type of professor, like you would have him like 3 years straight if you were a journalism major, right? Okay. He did not play. Like he worked for so many different publications and interviewed Malcolm X. So he was a veteran. And you would get your paper, let you misspell a proper noun. Misspell a proper noun. Your whole paper is a 0. Wow. You're gonna it's going in the trash. It's done. So we were trained to fact check, take the time to research. And I think, again, all things work together. Having that type of training, even though it's journalism, I don't take everything I hear, everything I see, like just take it and run with it. I've learned to research and be a critical thinker. But I think with the different things that God has blessed me to do, that skill was necessary. So I definitely give all that credit to my family at CAU. Okay. So it was great.
And I also found out you pledged Phi Beta Kappa. Is that true?
Yes. So I did that after college. Yep. Okay. And I have to shout out, I'm sorry. oh my goodness, Professor Mitchell, Sean
Okay.
Mitchell. She's another one. I just have to say that she is definitely like our CAU mom for all the journalism majors, and she's probably watching or will watch. So I have to shout her out. I love you so much. You have been through my whole journey, and that's another CAU, family, faculty member. But getting back to you just asked me a question real quick. What was your question before I said that?
I was talking about the data Kappas.
Yes, the sorority.
Yeah.
So Phi Delta Kappa Incorporated, and I got to shout out my sorors. It's actually an educational sorority, and we work very closely. Like it kind of overlaps with the Divine Nine. Just about all of my sorority sisters, they're either Delta, aka a Sigma. So we get to do a lot of community work together. But that particular sorority is really about, because I also serve in the educational arena, is really making sure things are right, going over policy and being a voice when things are going left, because this is our future. So, you have to have people that are advocating. There's a lot of changes that's taking place. So that's definitely something else that that's very passionate. I'm very passionate about. And I have a community behind me where we are advocating through our sorority. So, yeah.
Okay. So is that was joining sorority always something you wanted to do, or just somebody just recruited you?
So when I was at CAU, right? I think most HBCUs, the Greek life is very alive and well. So I had a lot of my good friends that were pledging, and it was something that I definitely thought about doing. I'm not gonna shout out any particular sorority. I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but it was one in particular that was really you should do it. But I decided before I joined anything additional, my senior year, as I end up getting married, right? And I end up having our first child. So a lot of my priorities shifted, during that time, because it was family, finish your degree, and I just put it on hold. So I decided to wait. But yeah, I don't think it's anything necessarily negative. I think it's a great networking opportunity for sure. But I just think you have to really know yourself and know why you're joining and why you're getting involved.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
Because networking is one of the biggest things, the most common thing I hear from whether it's sororities or frat brothers. That's always the most common thing: networking. Because you never know who that person may become.
Yeah.
Next week or 10 years from
now.
You might need a job, so
it's true. I know you're interviewing me. Are you a part of any fraternities?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay. No. Well, you still at FAMU, so right? You have some time.
I'm in God's fraternity, I guess. I know you mentioned that you're a teacher, so you're a ENL teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
you have with special needs, right?
Yes. Right now I'm at it's in New York. It's District 75. So all of the students with special needs, and I serve. I have a specialty. Excuse me, where I'm serving English. Well, it's ELs, English language learners, but ENL. It used to be ESL. So for those that went to school, some years back, it used to be called ESL, and they changed it to ENL for English as a new language. So,
yes. Okay. And how has that experience been for you? Because I know dealing with individuals that have special needs, you got to have a lot of patience. So how's that have been? Was it something that you was able to do right away, or did you have to build that patience, or what was that experience?
So this is the key. You hit it on the nail with the patience, but I'm gonna say something that a lot of people may not consider when they look at special needs. That's a big job. I worked in general education before, so I know both sides of the coin. One thing I can say, so I didn't necessarily go out and say I wanted to serve special needs. When I moved to New York and I began to interview and got into a program right here in New York to get my master's degree in education, when I was looking for a placement where I wanted to go, I already had like, I had the specialization, but it just so happened God just kind of placed me like District 75. And I began discussing with that principal, and I came on board. So it was like my first time even using my skills in that setting of all kids. What I will say, as far as the patients, I think my approach as an educator is to go into it not like, oh, I'm about to come in and rescue the kids and teach them. My first thing is, let me sit back and know these children. Yeah. Let them pour in so I can just understand them first. That way I can teach them properly, right? During that process, oh my God, all of my preconceived notions about special ed, serving special needs kids, it was like out the window. Yeah. The kids were absolutely amazing. And one thing that we don't realize, when you're labeled, not just special needs, but anything, any labels in life, it kind of puts you in this box, right? But I realized a lot of the kids, and they have many different needs, from autism to, it's so many different things, right? Some simply have behavioral issues, and some are misplaced. They're really not supposed to be there. No. But that's a whole nother topic. But with that said, when I opened my mind, I said, wow, in particular with kids with autism, I learned that a lot of them, they are so, what's the word I want to use? They're brilliant. It's like the mind just works differently. Yeah. We're like, we look at it like, oh, they're below. A lot of times they're above, but the way they process things, the way they process information is just different. And so I was blown away by how much I could learn from them. So in that, it guided my patients, because I think my perspective is not coming in and like, okay, you kids, you have to do this and it has to be a certain way. I learned to adapt my teaching style and adapt my classroom to them. So we both can have this partnership in learning. And I will tell you this, I honestly believe that it may take even more patience for general education than the special needs, because in general education, a lot of times there may be a different level of awareness, I'll say, where they know, they know what to expect. They're following the traditional way of doing school. And, kids are going to be kids. They'll test you. And there's no reason. It's not like, it's not adapting. You're just choosing to do X, Y, and Z, right? Yeah. So that's a whole nother level of patience. But when you're dealing with kids with special needs, it's kind of like they're open. They just want people to understand them and believe in them. So it's different, but it's a blessing.
Yeah, because I've been around kids with quote unquote special needs, and like you said, sometimes they're more brilliant than somebody that doesn't have that label. So I could definitely agree, with you on that part. Just to continue down, get into your business, what is your hobbies outside of music and your different businesses?
My hobbies. Good question. Okay, so I'm an avid reader and I love documentaries. Okay. So Netflix is always locked into documentaries. I love history. I love, and then this is something else that I do with documentaries, whether I'm reading them or watching them. If I'm in a location and it's something interesting that I learn about, I will like go and travel to see it for myself. So I think I'm just more of like a very curious person, and I like to learn and experience new things. So that's definitely a hobby of mine. Yeah.
Okay. And then what is your take on mental health? Like, is that important to you, whether it's for yourself or someone else? Like, how do you take care? How do you take care of yourself to make sure you stay sane?
Right. So I'll start here. My perspective on mental health is this: the same way we take care of all our other organs, right? We go to the doctor, we get checked out. If you get a cut on your hand, what are you going to do? You're going to treat it, right? You're not just going to pray. You're going to treat it. You're going to put a Band-Aid on it. You're going to ointment whatever's needed and let it heal. I look at mental health the same way. Yes, you have to look at the natural side of it. Your brain is an organ. It can get exhausted. It can experience trauma, and you can literally have a sick mind. you know, because of trauma and different things. So I think it's important to be balanced in your life. It's important to give yourself that grace, like, okay, this may be too much. It's time to take a break. It's time for me to relax. It's time to tell some people no, because self-care is a big part of maintaining, I believe, your mental health.
Yes.
That, and it's all tied together, that with developing your spiritual life, your prayer life, your connection with Christ and God, to keep the foundation steady. So when things do hit mentally, you do have that foundation too, that spiritual part, right? And then physical, just practical speaking, making sure you have a balanced life where you're eating as healthy as possible. I know it's not the easiest thing, right?
Yeah.
But what you're putting in your body, people don't realize is connected.
Yeah.
What you're putting in your body definitely can affect you, whether you're feeling, you know, depressed a lot of times. It has an impact what we're putting in, and what we are spending time on. You know, what are you meditating on as far as what are you watching, what are you listening to? If you're surrounded in a negative space 24/7, it's going to affect your mind. So the short answer of all of that, make sure you balance and make sure you take the time to find what brings you peace in addition to prayer, just the practical things, and put that as priority, so you're maintaining, you know, and guarding those things that can really take a toll on your mental. Yeah.
Okay. That was a well put together answer there, and I think a lot of people, especially in the Black community, they don't like to go to therapists because they be like, "Oh, I don't feel like it's nothing wrong with me," or "They're not going to help me." So I always ask that question in every interview because, you know, people look at mental health, you know, different, you know, charts.
Right.
So that's why I always ask that question to get each person's perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you take care of your voice? Like, what's the secret sauce with
Well,
that?
well, I will say this. I still use my high school training, right?
Okay.
Well, I don't know if there's singers out there, you know, the so when you're warming up, you're not necessarily trying to hit notes, you know, without warming up. You can buzz. So like those little exercises I used to learn from my vocal coaches, right? That's one. I still use them. Second, I don't smoke. Again, it's a part of that wellness thing. Just making sure that I'm not because your voice, I mean, it's also your body. Like, I feel like sometimes the health of your voice has to do with your overall health too. That's just my perspective. So I try to make sure I'm exercising. I try to make sure that, you know, I'm eating and drinking right things, you know, as best as I can. And then lastly, you know, sometimes different things can change our voices. So I'll say this for the women or the mothers. For some people, I didn't really experience this. When you have hormonal changes, like some during pregnancy, some people's voice drops, right? And knowing that, paying attention to the changes that happens, whether it's due to hormones, whatever it is, or, you know, you're aging, not pushing past that limit, right? Keeping it healthy by exercising, but when little changes come, being aware of it and adjusting, because you don't want to strain. And so I know that's something I definitely work on. If I ever feel myself straining, I'm like, okay, let me go back and reset and get to know my voice as it's, you know, going through different things. So yeah, being aware for sure.
Yeah, so definitely awareness and be careful to what you put into your body.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to get some vocal lessons myself. I want to get back out there.
Yeah. Oh, you sing too? I know you play. I didn't know that you
Yeah,
sing.
not anymore. I haven't done it in a while, but
Okay.
Carly Davenport, who's on here now, she said I need to start singing again. So I'm thinking about
I couldn't hear.
it. Carly
I couldn't
Davenport,
hear. Uh-huh.
Carly Davenport, that's on
Yes.
here. She suggests I should start singing again. So yeah, I'm gonna have to
Awesome.
get some lessons from you.
Hi, Carly. Thanks for joining.
So not to get you canceled or anything, because I don't believe in those culture cancels. What is your take on today's music industry?
Ooh. All right. Well, listen, I'm a very honest person,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna get canceled. Not gonna get canceled. Okay. Let me give you my best answer that's
Okay.
very truthful.
Okay.
I I think okay. So music is art.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times art is influenced by life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes life influences music, right? Kind of
Yeah.
touched on that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think music is a reflection right now, just overall, not just talking about gospel, just all
Yeah. Yeah.
genres.
Yeah. John,
I think I think music, hey girl, I think music is a reflection, the state of it now is a reflection of where we are as a
mm-hmm.
society.
Yes.
I think that we've gotten away from the deeper things. So let's talk about R&B.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure if R&B still exists, meaning like the rhythm and blues or love
Mm-hmm.
songs. Let me just narrow it down, like true love songs. And
Mm-hmm.
I am a Christian that, again, believes in balance. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to gospel. I get my worship on, my worship music on, but I also know there's a time and place for everything. I also love songs because love
Yeah.
is a part of our human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may counsel me for that, but I'm not one of those Christians that's like, no music, no R&B. I also love R&B too, real
Yeah.
R&B.
Yeah.
With that said, I see we've gotten away from that.
Mm-hmm.
With rap, I feel like there's a lot of duplication. Everybody's kind of sounding the same.
Yeah.
So the originality is kind of not there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because when you're in a society where everything is quick
Mm-hmm.
and everything, the shift is on a lot of material things. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people go out there not to deliver a message or not to have anything really to say. It's about how can I make this money?
Yeah.
So a lot of things are manufactured, and a lot of things is just follow. A lot of the music is just following a trend where
Mm-hmm.
everybody's just duplicating. When it comes to the topics, I think that some of it is okay. This is what people are responding to. I don't think that social media is just like, oh, social media for us to have fun. I truly believe that social media is being used as a tool to kind of gauge what people want, what people like,
Mm-hmm.
what are they talking about. And in every area, especially the music industry, they're taking that and they're running with it. And
Yes.
so I think there are some artists that may have good intentions or want to come with what they bring to the table, and they're being told that, oh, you have to do this. This is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think at this point, I pray that we become more authentic, that we are not fearful of losing or getting canceled or losing money by speaking what's really coming from our heart, what's really true and real to us. And for those that, are into inspirational music, gospel
Mm-hmm.
music, that you also follow what the Spirit is telling you to release. But I think there's a fear there because people are afraid of getting canceled, and they are afraid of just not making the money that they see
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
else making.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Some people they shy away from that question because they believe in Illuminati's and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't believe in that stuff, man. Because I think if you're supposed to be a success, you're gonna be successful. So
I believe that too.
I
And
get it.
and to that note, you just said you
Mm-hmm.
have to know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
I do think with anything, for where much is given, much is required, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you've been given a gift, you have to look at it as a gift. It's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just my opinion, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gift. You don't have to be out here singing. God may have not given you that gift of song or writing or whatever it is that you do musically. But if you look at it as a gift and you look at it as a responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're not easily swayed
Mm-hmm.
by the pressure of the world. You'll just stay true to what you're doing and not comparing yourself to anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, because and then I also thought about, you had mentioned Tupac earlier. Back then, you could tell the difference between a Tupac, Snoop, uh,
Mhm.
who else? Biggie. You could tell the difference.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own cadence, their own
Right.
everything. Now it's like
Right.
now we got like a million little somethings.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
And
And
everybody got the same cadence.
yeah.
So after a
Yeah.
while, it's just like, you know what, I'm just turning it on off.
And
So,
there's power in words. I'm a
yeah.
big believer in words. It's funny you said everybody's little something. I don't want to be called little anything
Nah,
because I'm looking big. I
yeah,
believe in
major.
God does things big for us and elevate.
Hmm.
So even sticking that on your name, in my opinion, I'm like, you already is speaking where
Yeah,
you fall,
yeah.
as an artist. But that's that.
Yeah, I definitely understand. You know, like
Yeah.
when they have like murder in their name, like okay, so if you get arrested, they're already gonna automatically give you 2 years just for your name.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I could sit there all day, but I'll move along. But so how did you feel when you first heard your song or any of your songs on the radio live, and like how do you feel now when you hear it? So the first time and the
And
times after.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and I remember I believe that was KRGN. It was a radio station in Texas, the
Okay.
first one I heard.
Hmm.
Um I just remember it was nostalgic
Hmm.
because like I said, I'm an 80s baby. See, I'm telling
Yeah.
my age, but I'll be honest.
It's okay.
I'm an 80s baby. So
That's the best
I
years.
remember when you I'm sorry, what you say, Ontario?
No, I said that was the best years. The
The best
80s.
years, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, that dreaming of, oh, hear myself on the radio,
Hmm.
right? So I feel like when I first heard it, I went back to that place like, oh, it happened. Like I hear it. People can
Yeah.
hear my music. So that was the first reaction. And
Hmm.
then the second one was, God, thank you, because I'm content with writing, sharing, and singing at my church, singing it, in front of the community, whoever is willing to hear.
Hmm.
Um, so in being content and happy, now to say, okay, God, you're elevating because you want more people to hear it.
Yeah.
You're allowing it to spread. It's just a blessing.
Hmm.
I just feel blessed and thankful. And now fast forwarding to today,
Hmm.
I gotta really thank you, Ontario, because I'm very thankful for us connecting and for you just to take the initiative and being proactive and saying, okay, I hear this music and I want to help share it. So I want to thank you for that, from the bottom of my heart, because to see that you're actively helping and spreading it and giving me a bigger platform with the message that God has given me, I'm like, okay. And I look at it as God uses people, like whatever he has called, for us to do, whatever he wants in due season. He has a way of bringing people that's in a whole nother state or across across a whole nother country. That's
Yeah.
just how great he is. And so I look at it where I am now. I look at it that way, that God knows what he wants to do. He
Hmm.
knows he wants to get the glory out of it. And I feel like as long as I'm a willing participant in his plan, he will send the resources. He will send the people. He will send the supporters.
Hmm.
And for that, again, I'm thankful and I'm humbled. So that's where I'm at. And to hear it like, oh, it's in France, it's here. I'm just like, okay. So when I take that trip to France, I'm going to be like, hey, you got my
I'm
single
here.
over there?
It's coming. It's coming.
Praise God.
It's in the works. So we're definitely
Thank you.
going. To you, I would say thank you because for when you trust me with your stuff because your music is one of your babies. So thank you for trusting me with that, and
Thank
you also
you.
made it easy on me because your mix is good, your lyrics are solid, your voice is great. So I don't always have everything lined up. Like either the person sometimes missing a photo, they don't have cover art, they don't know
Mhm. Mhm.
nothing. So we pretty much have to build it for them. So you came prepared. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you for that. So
Thank you. Thank you.
so as we get close to the end here, um, let's go ahead and tell the people what's next for Angela Monique.
You said what's next?
Yes.
So God willing, it's two things that I really would love to do. Um, so a lot of producers I work with, I always say this. When I write, I always see. Like I see visions. I see, even if it's coming from like experiences, the words, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will see different scenes with my
Okay.
music.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I've had that for a while. I would love for one to do a stage play or maybe
Okay.
write a stage play, utilizing, intertwining my music, writing some new music.
Mm-hmm.
That's for one. Two, I would love to begin to expand and having my music placed in soundtracks
Working on that
because
now.
I'm so visual. I'm such a visual person.
Yeah.
And I can literally, so I do this little thing. I can look at a film and I'm like, it's a little weird. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that artist, that song, that would be perfect right there. So I don't know why I do that, but I just see, or I'll hear a song and I'll see. Even some of the new artists that I was listening to today, other independent artists,
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to their music and I was like seeing pictures. I can see their video. So I'm going to run with that. That's the next step, is to
Mm-hmm.
move into the visual aspect of my music ministry
Okay.
with stage plays. And maybe, you know, God willing, maybe I could work in helping to produce like a music, a film, you know,
Okay.
a film with music placement. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I know we did send your music to quite a bit of TV networks and film companies, so hopefully we'll hear something back shortly.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Look at
so,
that.
yeah.
You're just on it. You're just on it. Thank you.